Okay, let's look at this quiz here. Confidence is a key thing. Don't forget, again, this is a YouTube video, so you can fast forward to what you want, but I would listen to this conversation first, especially if you didn't get more than, I'd say, if you missed more than 2, you probably want to make sure you at least listen to this part here because it is crucial that you have confidence. Again, confidence is going to be everything. I think that when you took this the first time, you probably maybe felt like, I don't know how you felt, but I do know that once you take a quiz and you don't do so well, it can make you feel like you kind of have a slump. But again, just kind of try to fight that off, because again, even if you have to somewhat lie to yourself, you don't want to lie to yourself a lot, but even if you have to somewhat lie to yourself, just make sure you get the most out of this video. Practice your mistakes. Again, I'm here for any questions you have. You can always email me for questions, and at the same time you have the Math Excel where you can kind of go over it, and or again, when you do this, what you could do is write down your answers on a separate sheet, and then you could take a piece of paper. At least that's what I would do if I had to pass this class or do whatever. I would either rewrite the question as it is, or take a piece of paper and cover up the work and then try to work it out here. And then that way I have a set of work here, and I can compare it to what I'm supposed to do, and then kind of check yourself off of that. The beauty of this class is that I'm not trying to trick you, which means that all these questions are test questions. So if you prepare for these questions, then you're at least ready for these questions on a test. So also don't forget that you need to try to make sure you're at a 90%, which is why I said you don't want to fall behind. That way you can actually do your test review starting this Thursday, which is when everything will be available. But outside of that, everything should be direct. I flipped this over for a reason. With multiplication, you have to remember that it's factor and cancel. Again, with multiplication, I saw a lot of people who were adding and putting like terms together. That's not multiplication. Multiplication is top times top, bottom times bottom. But the key idea with all your multiplication problems is factor it and cancel. Division. If you have a division sign in your problem, you're probably not going to be able to get it right because it should not be there. Rewrite your division as a multiplication question, then factor and cancel. When you have addition, find the least common multiple, which means make room for everything in the denominator. Sometimes you got to do a little bit of work. But again, you are 6 weight, so it might test you a little bit. Just be ready for that. Then rename everything, which means find out what's missing, multiply carefully again, and then combine your tops. And, sometimes you have to kind of look for things to cancel out, but just take your time on that and you should be okay. But again, the key thing is if you go to subtraction, again, one of the mistakes that people make when they have subtraction is they lose that subtraction sign somewhere in the middle. So when I have 6 over, let's say, x minus 3 plus x over, let's say, x again, they end up putting x at the bottom because that's our least common denominator, and then they put 3 plus x because they do 6 minus 3 is 3, but then they bring down the plus x, and the issue with that is this negative should switch both of them, and so you need to make sure you don't miss that on there, which is why my best advice, if it's subtraction, if there's any subtraction signs, distribute that by rewrite it by distributing, and then do the same thing as before. So hopefully I'm consistent enough. I haven't really worked this out. I didn't really plan this, but hopefully I'm consistent enough to kind of do this. But again, I'd say right now, just fast forward to the parts you need and make sure you write it down. Make sure you practice, but don't just practice the ones that you got wrong. Make sure you practice the ones you got right, because what tends to happen is you worry so much about the questions that you missed that you forget how to do the questions you got right. In general, number 1, it's already multiplication, so you're literally just looking for things you can cancel. So what I do is I look at 8 because it's a number, and I say 8 can't cancel with 3, but it can with 24. Your organization is going to make a difference, which is why I try to teach you to do it this way, because it saves you a lot of time. If you're rewriting it every single time you cancel, you're going to get confused. I'm just telling you, I think this probably might be a second time that I'm giving you this advice, but you need to do it that way. It's the safest way to do it. You then look at t. There's 7 t's here. No, but there's 5 over there, which means I can take 5 t's out, which means this is going to go away, and this is going to be t squared. 11 doesn't have anything to cancel with. U to the third. Oh, there's 6 u's, so this is going to go away. This is going to leave me with u to the third. Again, notice how this answer is formulating itself. And then I don't know what you did on the test, but this is a section or a expression of v plus 4, and then v plus 4 to the fourth, which means there's 1 v plus 4 up here, and there's 4 down there, which means if you're doing this the right way, the same way as the other part, this would go away, and this would leave me v plus 4 to the third, because I took 1 away, which means that there would be 3 left. Notice now how everything has been canceled. So now you put everything together. So you carefully say, what is my number? Because again, numbers go first. So 11's up top with 2 T's and everything else is gone. 3 and 3 are both at the bottom, so that would be 9 at the bottom with u to the third and v plus 4 to the third. Again, the organization is going to be crucial. It's very important that you start getting there. The higher you go in math, I won't say your organization will save you, but I do know that if you're disorganized or unorganized, you're going to have issues. So again, if you have more questions on that, feel free to ask me. I'll be glad to help you out. Again, first thing I would do when I see this is not even try to cancel. I'm going to rewrite it first. So 6m squared into the 7th. Be careful to write clearly. 5d to the 8th, e to the 3rd. That is the hard part about rewriting, is you can potentially write something and read it as the wrong thing, which is why it kind of helps to either write clearly or have notations that you use. And just double check. 6m squared in 7, 5d 8 e3, 12m n squared on the bottom, 7d 6 e2. And then the same thing. Cancel. 6, no, yes. This turns into a 2. This goes away. M squared, that's 1 and 2, which means there's going to be 1 m left over, and this m's going to go away. N to the 7th, n to the 10th. This one's going to go away, leaving me 3 n's on the bottom. 7 has nothing to combine with. 6d's, 8d's, this is going to go away, leaving me with 2d's on the bottom. 2e's, 3e's, this is going to go away, leaving me with e on the bottom. That's how straightforward it is. And once you get used to this system, which is why you need to practice it, it works. Your number up top is 7, and there's an m. Your number on the bottom is 5 and 2, because remember, your number goes first, so find those first. And then alphabetize your letters. There are 2 D's, 1 E, and 3 N's. And that would be your answer. The reason I knew you all were struggling is because the test took you all so long, because you were second guessing yourself, you were overworking things, you were probably taking the wrong roads, which took you like miles out of the way. But again, hopefully you practice this, because again, I believe you can do it. You just got to make sure you got it down. 3 is just, like I probably said in the video, it's just ugly, which means either learn how to do the part where you send the bottom up, or just go ahead and be safe. Rewrite it as a division problem, or actually as a multiplication problem, but I'll go ahead and rewrite as a division problem too. Divided by 8 times x squared plus 3 over 11x squared minus 5x. Then I'm going to rewrite it 8x minus 8 over x times 11x squared minus 5x over 8 times x squared plus 3. Now this is where you have to, I said that the second semester is the first semester on steroids. This is where you have to know your stuff. You can't really BS your way through this question, because it's going to force you to kind of recognize things. When you see the same number or you see a GCF, take it out. So 8 times x minus 1 is what that turns into. I see a GCF here. Maybe you didn't, but there's an x in that group. It turns to 11x minus 5. You can't touch the 11 and 5. They're both prime. There's nothing you can do with that. X is fine, and don't try to force that. You can't touch the x squared plus 3 because there's no number and both don't have an x. So now you start your cancellations. Well, here's an 8. And here's another 8. They both go away. That stays. That has nothing to go with. But hey, here's an x and an x, which they both go away, which leaves you x minus 1 times 11x minus 5 all over x squared plus 3. And that is all. There's no telling how ugly the questions are going to be, but all you can do on these questions is what it allows you to do. And I know they all weren't like the homework, but the homework was trying to work on your steps. What you're going to learn as you go forward is no teacher can teach you the test in homework, because there's so many different things you have to know how to do that you honestly just have to use the homework for your principles and then apply those principles on your test. Here, addition. You want to find the least common multiple first, so we need to factor this, which is 3x plus 4, 3x minus 4. That means your LCM, which I'm going to always put first, is 3x plus 4, 3x minus 4. And then I always draw my line so I know where I'm at. I then go and say what's missing from here is nothing, so this is just going to come down as is. What's missing from here is 3x minus 4, because I have my 3x plus 4. I need the other one, and so I'm going to distribute 6x minus 8, which means in the end, I have to combine terms, getting 6x minus 5, or negative 5 plus 6x over everything that's there. And that, again, that's it. Like there's nothing really complex about these problems. Once you get it, you'll roll right through to the answer. But if you don't get it, there's so many things that you think you can do that it'll force you to just keep looking and trying and shifting things around, and you won't trust the answer. But that's all you do. On this, least common multiple, which means let's put this over 1, which means, again, the shortcut for any time you have a whole number is multiply by that first, which makes it 35x over 5x. How do I know that works? Because 35 divided by 5 is 7, and the x's would cancel. So I'll go here. And the honest good news is, once I do that, I have the 5x on the bottom already. And I just add whatever's on top, which is 35x plus 6w. Guess what? That's all. It is that easy. It is that simple, but you have to make sure you have all that ready. The hard part is when you take the test, this is going to be mixed in with a bunch of other things like graphing, like other word problems that exist, and you have to make sure you're ready for this stuff and that it's just a natural part of your habit. Least common multiple, first off, before I do that, let's distribute that negative. But the least common multiple here is, again, you need room for a 6, you need room for 3 x's, and you need room for 4 y's. Again, you're picking the highest number of x's, which is 3, the highest number of y's, which is 4, and then you figure out what's missing. Well, obviously you're missing 6. There's my 3 x's. There's 4 y's. I have 1, so I obviously need 3 more y's, which makes this 66y to the third. Over here, I'm not missing a 6, but I am missing 3 x's, no y's, so therefore I end up with minus 5x to the 6th. Remember, you do not multiply. That's 3 x's and 3 x's, which makes 6 x's, and guess what? Again, you're done. Very direct, very straightforward, but again, you just have to make sure you practice and be ready for this. And then the last one, again, I would distribute this negative because I think that costs some people some points. Now you want to factor and make sure you know your least common multiple, which in this case is m plus 3 and m minus 3. This is now missing m minus 3, which makes this 5m minus 15. And then this just comes down as minus 5m. Well, guess what happens when negative 5m meets 5m? They both go away, giving us negative 15 over m plus 3, m minus 3. Again, I'm confident in the fact that you can do these questions. Just make sure you take it seriously enough. Again, the hard part about it is every chapter is essentially supposed to get a little bit tougher. I think you have what it takes to do it, but you have to make sure that you stay hungry. You have to make sure that you come in to fight all the time and that you kind of work harder. Psychologically, what happens in the fourth quarter as we get closer to the end of the year is it's harder to work. I know that I'm falling behind on things, even though me being behind means I'm right on time. But I'm falling behind on things because I don't feel like working. I don't feel like doing the work. I don't feel like doing a lot of stuff because I feel summertime coming. So if you're going to have a solid fourth quarter, my best advice is that you start extremely strong and then give yourself that insurance, because I guarantee you in that last 3 weeks, it's going to be really hard to motivate yourself to fight back if you're already failing. So to me, I would actually give extra effort for the first 5 or 6 weeks. And then that way, if I do happen to slip, which again, a lot of you are probably going to slip because it's natural. It's a human thing. I've been teaching for years and it happens every time right around that last month. So give yourself some insurance, work as hard as you can to start this stuff. This quiz is not going to affect you for this quarter. The one coming up on graphing will, and like I said, your test is next week. And don't forget, you really won't get study time. So try to make sure you get ahead. Try to make sure you work extremely hard to be ready. And outside of that, like I said, I'm here if you have any questions. Talk to you later, and good luck.